Hey there, everyone. Welcome to ModGolf Live. Good to see you all again here. I'm Colin Weston, your host, and today it's going to be fun. A fun half hour. I have a previous guest from the ModGolf podcast, and that is Brian Esposito, and we had a great conversation, both on YouTube and the podcast audio, and so good that I had to invite Brian back on again just to tell us about all the great things that he's working on now. He is an inspiring entrepreneur, investor, leader, CEO, and Brian does not gather moss. He does not stand still. It makes me look like a complete slacker, but I find that inspiring. He definitely leads the way, and I just try to keep up here. So before we get going, though, I want to say a few things about not only ModGolf Live here on YouTube, but also our Patreon community that we have. And I really want to encourage you, if you haven't done already, to join our Patreon community here with the ModGolf podcast. And yeah, may I ask, what is Patreon? It really is this community that I create exclusive content, just like we have here. This is for all of our Patreon members to engage in real time here. People that are joining us, asking us questions, myself, Brian, anything that comes to mind here that you want to interact with, we are going to make all that good stuff happen here today. And the other piece also, people love winning free stuff. Who doesn't love winning free stuff? And today is no exception. And we're giving away, and with Chip Golf Company. So these guys, startup company here, got to know these guys a little bit. Really love what they're doing here. Look I got one of those on there today. So we're giving away 2 of these lovely golf gloves here with Chip Golf, actually to one winner. And that's going to be with, we'll pull this up here. Here we go. So the way we're going to do this is, hey, we've got over 70 people signed up for the ModGolf Patreon community now. And we've got 6 people that have signed up as monthly subscribers. So as I've said, hey, if you want to win stuff, and we're giving stuff away every single week, and that's what we're doing. So Lydia Davies, Ian Murray, Kevin Carpenter, Wade Whitman, Igor Weinstein, who was our guest last week, actually. Great episode there. And also Bob Wells. So we're going to give 2 of those Chip gloves away to one winner. And I have a random draw that I've done. And the winner is Ian Murray. So Ian is going to be shipping or getting shipped 2 of these nice, fabulous gloves. So Ian, I got to contact you, find out your size. I don't know if you play left or right-handed here. So we will get you hooked up with Chip Golf Co. and get 2 gloves. They've got, I guess about a dozen or so different fun designs that they have here, and you'll be able to choose the 2 that you want. So congratulations, Ian. We'll get those sent out to you. And hey, I do encourage everybody again here, of the people that already have signed up with the free, hey, you know what? It just helps us out here, we cover the costs of our production. And the more people that we can bring on, bring in a little bit of revenue, the more content we can create and the more stuff we can give away. So everybody wins. And talking about winners, that's a nice segue to bring on my guest today. And that is Brian Esposito. And there he is. Brian, how you doing, sir?
Doing well, Colin. How are you?
I'm doing well, I don't know if we've been elevated quite yet to friend status. I feel we're quite on the cusp, because we've we've had that alignment, that connection, many conversations that we've had so far.
No, I'm honored to be here, and I was really shooting for Bob Wells to win that, so I'm a little disappointed in that. I had the over/under on Mr. Wells.
Well, you know what, Bob? I actually know Bob. Bob's a good guy in Vancouver here. He organizes, and he's the president of our University Golf Club weekend men's group. So see, if I was smart there, I would have rigged it, because maybe I could have got a better tee time on a Saturday there with Bob with that. Damn, I played that wrong. I didn't even know those details. I was just feeling Bob through the screen. It's all good, my man. It's all good. There we go. Here we go. So, hey, Brian, for all of our viewers who don't know you yet and haven't had a chance to listen to the ModGolf podcast episode that you and I recorded, I guess it was a couple years ago now, not too long ago. Why don't you let everybody know, because you do so many things, why don't you focus right now with, especially what you're doing now with Diamond Lake Minerals, that may be not necessarily golfy, but it is all part of the investment innovation ecosystem. So let people know who you are and what you're doing.
Thanks, Colin. I appreciate the opportunity again. So again, for everybody listening, Brian J. Esposito. I'll try to sum this up as quick as possible. It's 23 plus years as an entrepreneur, always building, starting, acquiring, or merging with companies and businesses. In my two different verticals of my life, I got my private holding company known as Esposito Intellectual Enterprises. Again, that's 23 plus years of work. There's over 110 companies in those holdings. There's over 200 joint ventures, and I'm proudly operating in over 25 different industries. So it's been one hell of a journey to hell and back multiple times, building that and developing that to what it is today. Through that journey, I got very focused on what does the future of securities look like, and those are digital assets or digital securities. So for some of your listeners, you might have heard things like NFTs, crypto, tokens, meme coins, all these nonsense words that keep floating around in this industry. I focus solely on registered, regulated digital securities. These are legal, structured securities that are backed by real world assets and things that fall in line with current offerings and all the rules and guidelines with regulatory. That led me to be honored to take over what you see here in Salt Lake City, known as Diamond Lake Minerals. The public company stock symbol is DLMI. And we have successfully bridging the gap between traditional finance and securities and the future of digital securities. So what we're building here kind of mimics and resembles what I've done in my private holdings, the GE structure type of public company, parent umbrella, multiple industry agnostic companies underneath the umbrella that we've identified that we want to be involved in. The company has been based in Salt Lake City since 1954. It's got such a great history and legacy there. And what we've done since I've taken over over the last 10 months, since August of 2023, has been quite extraordinary. The company's got so much momentum and support behind it. We've got iconic advisors that are supporting me as colleagues and friends for a long time to supporting the vision of the company. We've made some great announcements, and we are in the right place at the right time. And some certain large publications and news agencies have coined us as the Berkshire Hathaway of tokenization. So it's quite humbling. A lot of people say, how did you do this in 10 months? I say, no, I didn't do this in 10 months. This is my life's work that, when the right timing aligns and the right people and support align, it clicks, and that's where we are. And I'm honored to be leading this company and building a lot of value for our shareholders.
Wow. And since we last talked, I think it was less than 2 years ago on the show, and you've done it now. You've progressed so much, just building on all the experience and the connections and the relationships that you built up. And one reason I just feel this connection to you is you are just sincerely authentic in what you do and the way you build relationships, the vulnerability you show by putting yourself out there and on social media, and also the times we've had conversations when I first met you through a sports incubator and accelerator. I just love that about you. So I want to lots of questions I want to ask you here, but the first thing I want to do is actually we have a couple of people that have joined us here today, and we've got Igor Weinstein, who was our guest last week on the ModGolf podcast, and hey, there we go. He's saying, hey, looking forward to this. So Igor, if you've got any questions here for myself or for Brian, hey, don't hesitate to chirp up and put it in there. We'll definitely throw that in there. But until you do or anybody else does, I'm just going to keep asking questions. And the kind of the high level one I want to ask you, since you've the work that you're actually doing with Diamond Lake Minerals and how you're like all in there, but you're also working with DeLorean Group and doing some interesting things with private aircraft. I really want to understand your decision-making process, because I find with myself, I have all these opportunities, people coming to me, and I have this fear of missing out, or I don't want to disappoint people. How do you make decisions that align with what you're doing with the thousands of things you can do every single day? How do you narrow that down to 100 and then to a dozen and then to a handful that have meaning and purpose for you?
That's a great question. So everybody's wired differently. Some people do one thing and they do it great. Whether I'm jealous of that or not, that's not me. My mind works a lot better with more. The more dots that I can connect, the more opportunities I can create, and the more momentum that I can create. And this was proven for me and what I built during COVID, for example. There's so many people that I knew and cared deeply for that did one thing, and the market or industry did not need or support that one thing, so they were lost. For me, it was okay. What am I holding, and how do we create opportunities in this new market condition? And when you have a lot of things in your toolbox or your goodie bag, the more that you can create and build and grow from. So, I am addicted to creating. I'm addicted to building things. I'm addicted to doing more and more. I'm always going to do that. I'm going to work till my last breath. I look for very simple things with people. I look for, are you empathetic? Do you have no greed or ego? Or are you just a good, decent person with integrity? Once we align on that, then I know we're unstoppable. Then I know we can do and build and create something and go out into the market for. So when it comes to things like that, there's an endless supply of opportunities, and I'm never going to stop bringing them into my world or my ecosystem. The most important thing is to make sure that I don't allow the wrong people in. That takes a bulk of my mental resources, is to really analyze who is now soliciting me or approaching me and wanting to work with me, and how do I make the right decision on, do I allow that person in or not? And the more experiences that we go through, the more times that I've been hurt and used and abused, the stronger and more seasoned I get to identify people that are not a right fit for me. And I don't judge anybody. If someone wishes to do good or bad in the world, that's on them. My job is to take what I've been through and my learning experiences and make sure that I don't replicate the same mistake by inviting the same characters into my world that have caused me nothing but chaos, drama, and grief. So, long story very long, where I'm at today is there is such a great system here and great efficiencies and great momentum, because there is zero drama. There's zero negativity. There's no toxicity. It's just good people doing good work. And when you have that as the foundation, you're invincible. I think anybody listening, think how much time you waste trying to solve problems, or so much time you waste trying to talk about negativity. It's very powerful and something that is consuming. So when you can eliminate that from your life, that's my answer to people. How do you do so much? Well, I'm not on Facebook or Meta, first and foremost, and secondly, I am not spending my day drained or exhausted or dealing with people. And I finally have true freedom in my life, and that's the ability to tell people no. So for Colin, what you're saying, how do you not be a deal junkie? Well, you can be a deal junkie with the right people and the right inward bound funnel of great opportunities. And then when you have a big ecosystem, you just peanut butter and jelly it. You're a matchmaker. Where does this fit?
Love that. Love that. Remember you used the peanut butter jelly metaphor last time, and that's so
Oh,
simple
should I switch it up? Let me think
that
about it.
no, it just sticks. Well, pardon the pun there. It just does, right? It's really, really good. Hey, I want to ask you this, because you do a lot of work, and where we first met, of course, is the work and the investment and the partnerships you've had and the leadership in the sport innovation space, and of course with a lot of people. I know with Igor, the work that he's doing in golf and sport tech and innovation here. Yeah, for our viewers, can you talk a bit about some of the ventures that you're partnering with that are in the sports space?
Yeah, well, that's how we met, right? Hype
Yeah,
Sports Innovation. Great
yeah,
group. Honored to be a mentor and equity holder in that accelerator. The sports tech world really blew up again during COVID. There needed to be a way for fans, or for these IP owners or these teams, to find a way to monetize their brand and engage with their fan base. So that's what allowed something that typically takes, much like banking or the casino gaming industry, a lot of legacy industries take forever to adopt technologies or changes or evolve. But again, during 2020 to up until recently, those things are on steroids. So for me, it's always been, how do you elevate or enhance a person's experience, whether they're at the live venue or not? So always been addicted to that since I've been in the music industry since 2010ish. I always wanted to make a way to find the fan really not only feel that they weren't taking advantage for their ticket price, whether they're paying it for the original sale or they're buying it in the secondary market. How do you enhance their experience? How do you connect the fan with their favorite artist or their favorite athlete? So I've built technologies for that. And it's, when you're a technology builder or you're a futurist, it's a very painful, brutal place to be, when especially if you're self-funding it and you're trying to find a home for what there's a need for. Up until I guess, year and a half ago, I got invited into what I'm very excited about, because I used to be focused on being a professional baseball player, was my
that's
goal
right.
and dream. So I got invited into an incredible family out of North Carolina, the Allreds, and they own the Players League, which is an old 1800s league name and brand, and Old North State League. So it's this beautiful group of very profitable independent baseball teams in this league. And the plan is to roll these out and acquire them and build an ancillary baseball opportunity for athletes to be able to continue their career, even if they don't get drafted into major league or any of the farm systems. So to have another market where these players don't have to give up on their dreams and they continue to play a sport that I think is, I'm very biased, but I think it's still the best damn American sport in the world. And golf is up there. Most baseball players are also great golfers because of the technique and the mentality. So that's exciting to me. And then you looked at what Liv did against the PGA. So as we're developing this players league, how can we be the Liv to Major League Baseball? So you start to come out with this new strategy. And again, the yes, it's a business, it's a for-profit, but more importantly, who the hell wants these amazing players to have to give up on their dreams and go and be forced to work in a job that they don't want to work in because they have bills and they had to give up on something that they're passionate about? And for me, it speaks volumes because it's my biggest regret. Whatever I've done to date, sure, maybe it's great, maybe it's not, depends who you ask, but I've always applied what I've learned in sports, especially in baseball. And I've applied those same strategies to all my work and all my companies: the right people in the right positions, the right players in the right positions, the right strategy behind how do you go against this competitor, the right training, the right support system, the right brand, the right IP, the right marketing. It's very similar. And whether you lose a deal or you miss a deal or you get cut out of your products get pulled from a shelf, it's much like a baseball player striking out or going into a slump. But it's how do you come back from that? How do you fix that? How do you turn that around? Minus an injury, there's always a way. So an injury is a bankruptcy. Like there's still always a way to figure out what is the next step for that player or that business person. So that was my connection. I'm very grateful to this family. I'm the first non-family member to be invited in. So now I'm connected back to something that I love, and I believe and hope I'm bringing so much value to this organization where I can help players not do what I did and be able to continue to play. So that's very exciting for me. And then bringing in technologies and IP and distribution networks and sponsors, everything that these typical leagues would need. It's exciting for me to do that because I have these relationships now. So if I didn't build my professional career, I wouldn't have these relationships. So, firsthand speaking, in everything that I do in my life, everything does happen for a reason, the good and the bad. And your job is to not lose yourself in that mess and continue to fight through and just figure it out, because there is a master plan to everything that we're doing.
Love that, the way you put that there. And I know from our previous conversation that you, your first love is baseball. And if you could have had a career and taken that to the next level, that would have been your happy place. Not that you're not happy now, you found another way, but it seems to me that perfect synergy there. If you can find a way to live vicariously, I guess, through baseball and that sounds like the perfect fit to me.
I agree.
Sounds like that. Okay, well, like I said, the show is live. It is interactive, and we've got Igor is asking a question here. So I'm gonna pull it up. He says, "Hey, looking at the sports market, which do you find a more critical market to hit, the masses or a more professional sports segment? One is more scalable, the other higher spend." So I don't know, Igor, if you're thinking more about whether there's a B2B player, a B2C. I know that, Igor, we talked about with your golf track app that you're white labeling that so that then you can already tap into 1 million or 2 million customers that someone else has. So Brian, maybe you can respond with your experience to Igor's question here.
Yeah, I would look at this. I mean, if you look right now, what's happening in women's sports and Serena Williams' husband, Alexis Ohanian, what he's been pushing for and been preaching that women's sports is going to be a massive upside. And what he's done in LA markets, I think he launched a golf sports club. I think it's LA's. Drawing a blank on it. You should watch that, Colin, because you'll love what he's doing.
Yeah.
I would look at these boutique little opportunities, Igor, and I hope I'm answering your question correctly, because I tend to look at where is an opportunity to create momentum and create a proven use case. And it's so much easier if you find a little boutique market or a little independent team or something and create something really unique that you can then show to the larger organizations as to what you did, because getting them to do something, even if it's right or wrong, without some proven track record, it's very difficult. I'll go back to the baseball reference. Like, look what, if you're familiar with Savannah Banana and that amazing team, look what they've done by applying entertainment and skill. Like, they're selling out stadiums that they play in around the country. There's more of their fans in those stadiums than the home team.
Right.
So when you look at that model, and understanding it's entertainment. It's at the end of the day, it's entertainment. One of the things I get really frustrated. I was at a Utah Jazz game, and I was a huge Utah Jazz fan growing up, and that's really weird about serendipity. Now I'm here. I was a big John Stockton and Karl Malone fan, even though I was born in Jersey, but I wasn't a Nets or a Knicks fan, and definitely not a 76ers fan. Sorry, everybody. But when I'm at this game, like, I used to go to games and everybody had the same color jersey on. You know,
Right.
it's really weird now going to games and everybody's wearing all different color jerseys. The team's got all this different IP out there. You got companies like Fanatics that's out there producing new IP and new merchandise or new uniforms. It's like, this is weird. If I was a player, I would be like, do we have fans here? Like, I don't know what is our color scheme here. It's very strange to experience. So again, if I'm answering your question correctly, I would go to a more focused core opportunity, especially if it's technology. Build something out with a small independent team and show return. Like, even if it's small, who cares? If you're showing a percentage return or a percentage increase in engagement or an ROI on some sort of new merchandise or ticket sales, like, if you can prove that with somebody that there's not a huge hierarchy of decision maker, or you have to get allocated, we can't do anything until 2026, but we can have the conversation till now. Like, I don't believe in wasting time. Like, we don't know when that last breath is going to be. So if you got something exciting or something that could really be valuable inside of an organization, find somebody in your local community. There's plenty of leagues and teams that are independent or minor leagues, or there's so many, or even schools. You can find some private schools to roll something out with, but show it. Give it some life, prove it. Everybody wants $1 billion deal. It doesn't exist. You get to $1 billion deals by creating $1,000 deals.
Yep. And remember, we've talked about previously, just to reinforce all the good things you just put out there, seems like a revelation or a mind blower for a lot of people if they're watching, Shark Tank, and they think the only way to grow a business is actually having someone invest in it. As we've talked about before, the best investors you can have is someone called a customer, who actually pays you something called revenue. Like, what a concept, right?
Nuts. I say that all the time. You want to be in business, you gotta have revenues. You want to stay in business, you gotta be profitable.
Yep. And everything you've said there, in sports, in tech, or just whatever experience or venture you're putting together, or service or product. Yeah. If you have a minimum viable product, you do a pilot project with someone that's willing to take a kind of a low stakes risk to build this out. And as you said before, first you got to nail it and then you scale it. So you got to do the nail it part first. Absolutely. Well, it seems like Igor's enjoying what we're doing here today, because he's still rolling here. So he's got another comment with a question here. Sounds like you're saying that you need to create an experience that hits the right note with your audience you truly want before trying to scale it. Sounds like he's reinforcing what you're saying.
1000%. And don't focus on something that it's hard for creators to think like this, but sometimes you got to take yourself out of your own dream, and you should make sure what you're spending time on, energy and resources, isn't a trend or a fad or a flash in the pan, because you're spending all this time, resource, IP, money, bringing in people, getting people excited. But if it's not a long life cycle of an experience that you're creating or something that you're trying to give to that audience, then don't do it, because it's going to take the same amount of time or money to build something that's got longevity.
Yeah. Love that. So I know yourself as an investor, as an advisor, as a mentor, you've worked with dozens, if not hundreds of founders. So if you can thin slice or give some examples of what you see of the characteristics of people that you meet immediately and think and know you've got what it takes to actually succeed, that those personality traits and things perhaps you see with people, whether it's stubbornness or insolence or whatever it is or ego. Yeah. Tell us about some of the experiences there that you've seen with people that immediately, and maybe sometimes people become more dynamic and some people can actually grow and change and maybe actually listen to some of the good advice that you provide and some
Yeah.
don't. So yeah, tell us a little bit about your
I'm just,
experience there with dealing with founders
yeah, we're in the
without
long.
naming names, of course.
No, I wouldn't do that. I'm trying to never be rude, but I'm grinning because I'm thinking about all the crap I've been through. Uh, so if I see passion, I'm in. If I see somebody that and I see a work ethic, like if you're clocking out with Fred Flintstone hours at 5 o'clock, we're not working together. You
Yeah.
want to be a founder, an entrepreneur, you're gonna have to make some sacrifices. I'm sorry, that's the deal. But if you're taking weekends off and you're like, I'm not working today because it's Arbor Day and it's a holiday and I love planting trees, then we're not working together because somebody else is, and that's been my mindset forever. It's been, if I'm not doing this, somebody else is, and that's my, that's always been my juice when I'm feeling defeated or exhausted. It's, hey, you know what? Someone else is out there doing this, so I got to beat them to it, or I got to do it better. So passion, fire. I love old souls. I love when I can see people that just get life. And so many people have so many wonderful things, whether it's a talented musician, an incredible technologist, an amazing engineer or manufacturer, for you, Colin, a great architect, and they just don't know the right people. Well, that's the saddest thing in the world, isn't it? When you have the best thing in the world, but you just don't know who can open a door for you. So I've been humbled to do that for people, and I did that for people my whole life, but I stopped doing that in 2016 for free because people took advantage of that. People didn't pay it forward. People didn't understand the value of the connector. And anybody listening that's a connector, it's the most important piece of life's puzzle, is connecting A and B and creating Z. Connectors get very defeated and they get very soul crushing moments because they don't know how to connect themselves to the opportunity, because we're not wired to benefit from it, but you should be, because the more you're so I'll say earning, or the more emotional cup that's being filled, the more you can connect and do more great things. But when you see two people you connect run off and build something great and they have business amnesia because they decided that you weren't an important piece of that puzzle, it can create a very bitter and angry person. And I've tempted myself on going down that route and being angry, but I know that's not who I am. So I decided, okay, well, I'm going to figure out how to be a connector. Some people will call me a super connector. Thank you, people. How do I do that and be part of the upside, but still know my place? The connector knows that person A and person B are supposed to come together and create magic. We have to learn how to back away and let that happen and step in when and how we can help here out. But that's part of the journey and part of the evolution of understanding our value and understanding our purpose here in this world. So those are the few things that I look for. Again, back to the earlier answer, it's great integrity. I look for empathy. I need you to treat a waiter like they're the Pope. I need you to give somebody on the street some money, or to give them some food. If you're not doing those things, I ain't helping you. I don't want nothing to do with you. And I'm not going to teach you about those things because I'm not a priest and I'm not your psychiatrist or your counselor. If you don't know to help people, and that's on you to figure out, or never figure out. That's not up to me.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to waste time trying to give people the way that I feel that we should all be. The things that I don't look for, we mentioned this before too. If you have greed or ego, or you're flashing me your watch, or you're talking about taking private planes, or your trophy wife, and you're bragging, that's nauseating to me. So I will walk up. I'll walk away. I'll get out
Yeah.
of a board meeting and I will leave. Like, that's just who I am. And I've done that my entire life. But now my age is getting closer to the voice that I always had. So there's more power to who I am and what I'm doing. Because I've always felt like this. But if I was 20 years old doing this, people would just not care. But because it's a little track record, because I do great shows like this and talk about my story, when I make a decision behind something, it's got a lot more interest behind it than it used to, because I'm getting older and there's value to enhancing your experiences and understanding how to learn. I tell people one of my favorite quotes that I came up with, because I think it's a great quote. You can be an overnight success if you wake up each new day a little bit wiser, smarter, and stronger than the day you were before. And if you keep doing that, and you keep surrounding yourself with the right, good, positive, ethical people that are there to help you and support you, you can do anything. You can do absolutely anything. But if you're surrounding yourself with jealous people with animosities, they don't want to see you do well, or they're putting you down, they don't understand what you're trying to do. Well, that's a very difficult environment to feel good about yourself. There's no way you can ever feel confident about yourself. So it's so important who you surround yourself with, whether you're doing well or not, doesn't matter. One negative person in your circle is it's just so time consuming. It just
Yeah.
takes over. It's cancer.
Wow. Well, it's almost like you're speaking to me in the last 6 years of my life between that give first mentality I know that you have, and being that connector, and yes, looking for ways to, I wouldn't necessarily say monetize it, but in a sense to, reinforce what you said, but to actually just have that value exchange. And I've had to step back from certain things where I felt there was this imbalance also, and I wasn't being kind and generous and respectful of myself in some ways, and
Yeah.
I needed to do that first before I can do that for others. So, and I know you definitely embrace that type of mindset also, and I appreciate you reinforcing that and saying all these good things that are resonating here once again. So hey Brian, but before we finish up here, I just want to do a shout out to people that are joining us today. I think we're about half a dozen people that have joined us for the live show. I know we're going to get even more when we put this on YouTube afterwards, as we always do on the ModGolf YouTube channel. So we got Jairo saying, obviously appreciate it here. Great conversation, enjoying what you're saying here today. So Jairo, it's last chance here. If you've got a question for Brian, or anyone else does, or Igor, if you want to follow up here, we've got a couple minutes left here for the show, because that's what we do here. We're being interactive about ask us anything. Please be polite though. Don't make it awkward for us. Don't make us cry, even though we don't bruise that easily. But just
No.
try to be nice. I think people are nice out there with the Mod Golf podcast. But Brian, to bring it all back to golf here with a fun thing. So are you playing any golf these days, or are you just working like a dog? Where's that golf work balance for you?
Not playing any golf, but we need to fix that, Colin. Maybe, maybe,
Ooh.
maybe you and I can do a round together. The fun part about me playing golf is I do not cheat. So if I get a 13 on a hole, I get a 13. So anybody listening, write your right score down. You're only lying to yourself, and there's no
Yeah.
way you can get better if you're not writing your real score down. But yeah, I got to work on that. I would love to play around with you, because we have a great history around this sport. I think it's a phenomenal sport for, even if you apply the game of golf to what you can do as a business person or an entrepreneur, or just someone in life. It's mental. Golf is probably the most mental game out there. You got to have some skill, but if you're not psychologically wrapped around not letting anything bother you, and if you got a 9 or a triple bogey on one hole, it doesn't mean you can't come back and get a birdie on the next hole. And that's life. Life is very wired like that. Somebody can ruin your life in this moment, but you can meet somebody an hour from now that can change your entire life. And the game of golf is very much like that. The game of baseball is very much like that, because these are, I guess tennis could be, these are games where it's you have the ability to I don't know if tennis could be that, but yeah, I guess so. But as a batter, you have the ability to get up there and hit a home run, hit a single. You still have the ability to advance. Same thing with golf. Same thing with life. You have the ability to advance. But if you go in the corner or you go in the tank and cry about it, there's nothing you can do about that. You need to just persevere through it and get thick skin and get strong and try to do the best you can in life to not let things bother you. More importantly, don't let things that you can't control bother you. That's where a lot of us waste a ton of our time. We're worrying about everything out in the world, and media pounds us down to do that. You worry about politics, you worry about wars, you worry about who's in president, you worry about all this stuff, and it's really irrelevant to what you can control. Those things are going to happen, whether you're involved or not, whether you're talking about it or not. The powers that be are advancing those things. So what does your little bubble have? Whatever your little bubble has that you have say in and you have control in, that's where you should focus. Like if you're standing at the tee box, that's where you should focus. This is my control. It's my moment to hit a damn straight ball down the fairway, whether I hit it 8 yards or 80 yards or 200 yards. Do it straight. do it right, do it correct, and rinse and repeat.
Love that. Dropping a golf analogy nugget of wisdom there. I completely agree. And I felt that way when I actually triple bogeyed the easiest hole in the course on Saturday, and then backed it up with a tap in birdie. So you
See?
just never know what
I
you're
didn't
going to
even
get,
know
right?
that, and you did it. You actually lived the example I just gave. That's brilliant.
Got to keep on grinding. Well, yes, we should get together to play golf. As I was warned uh, almost 10 years ago when I stumbled into the golf industry, the first PGA teaching pro I met, when I said, I got to play all this free golf with amazing people at these epic, iconic courses. And he's like, no, you're not. You're gonna play even less. And the last year, I fall into this trap, Brian, that I'm very golf adjacent because I'm working so much in the golf industry that I'm
Yeah,
not that much golf on. So I got to get more golf on, and maybe you can help me with the golf on. Maybe you
let's
come
do
up to
it.
Vancouver, maybe I come down to Salt Lake, or we meet somewhere halfway in between. But let's make a point of making that happen.
Let's do it, and we'll make sure we're sporting our chip with the double P golf glove.
There we go.
What
And
I
once
just did
again,
there?
want to
I don't
thank
even
our
do what you do.
uh,
You see what I just did there? This is
I
how good I am.
you are well, you are good at this, man. Yeah. So thanks to our friends at Chip once again. They're not paying us. We just connected with these guys, a couple of cool dudes that are doing some fun things here with some fun gloves here. So yeah, help them out. I believe they have a here, let me pull up here as we end here. 1 second. Let me just click around a couple of things here.
Does it come
Pull
with a
these guys
does it
up.
come
There
with a
you go
playing?
with Chip
Oh,
Golf
that's
Co.
so cool. I
Once
want the
again,
playing card ones. Those are cool.
they are cool. Yep, lots of good stuff there. So there you go. Pull it up. Give them the little shout out there. So go to chipgolfco.com. I believe they got 10% off for a Father's Day thing right now. Once again, I don't benefit from this at all. I just love what they're doing. So let's support them. Show some love. They've been doing great things here. So yeah, there we have it. So Brian Esposito, my friend, let's get together for some golf. I always appreciate all the good things that you're saying. I learn something every time we speak. And as my friend Kevin Carpenter, who I believe I will have to connect you with, along with Igor, who calls himself the Gratitude and does some great things,
That's good.
like-minded people like yourself here. I like to surround myself with good people. I'm making a point of doing that, and that's why I can never spend too much time with you, Brian. So thanks again for joining me on ModGolf Live today.
Thank you, Colin. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. We'll talk soon on the golf course. You take care.
You too. Stay well. We did it.
All right. End the stream here.